Greetings, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good night to some of you. My name is Trevor Palacio. Welcome to Wamalali Africa Show. I am a proud Garifuna man, indigenous to St. Vincent and the Grenadines here in the Western Hemisphere. Our special guest today is Raki, spokesperson for the FWPC. The be had today or continues to be had. It's about the circumstance that our people are struggling with in West Papua. First and foremost, welcome everyone. You are live streaming on Tunateki TV, live on Tunateki TV with over 800,000 followers on YouTube, with over 800,000 followers on social media. Please share. The next conversation that we might be having might be about your indigenous community. Right now, the focus is West Papua. We want to thank President Daniel Mwambuno, President of the United States of Africa, and also the President of the GPAN, Global Pan-African Movement. We are focused on not autonomy. Let's make it clear. We are not focused on autonomy. Raki will speak to you and tell you that we in West Papua have autonomy. I will tell you that we in Honduras, Guatemala, Belize, we have autonomy. Our focus is on the one thing that we don't have, including in America, North America. We do not have self-determination. And that's what the focus is. Raki, if you could please introduce yourself, say hello to the audience.
Hello, audience. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Raki and I'm the spokesperson for Free West Papua campaign. And I want to thank host and brother Trevor Palacio and President of the GPAN, President Daniel Mwambuno, and the Global Pan-Africanism Network for having me. Thank you.
I'm on mute there. My apologies. So, Brother Raki, and my apologies to the audience. And let's go back and give the people a brief, Brother Raki, uh, as to where we're at, what brought us here as of 58 years ago, May 1 of 1963.
Yeah, so what happened 58 years ago, instead of that, the West Papuans were guided toward the independence, the right to self-determination promised by the Netherlands, the former colonizers, all prepared, having the Morning Star flag right behind me, having a Papuan volunteer corps, an army, and a first government, the New Guinea Council, to take control of the land. A new colonizers just invaded our homeland, West Papua, the western half of the island of New Guinea, right above Australia, which is world's largest tropical island, just to underline it. Indigenous lands of black Melanesian people. Indonesia invaded West Papua with a huge military force and never left the territory. So since that moment, 1st of May 1963, West Papua was occupied by military aggression of the new colonizer Indonesia, and they never left our homeland. With as result that we are still colonized in 2021, and more than 500,000 indigenous West Papuans have been slaughtered under the eyes and under the new colonial power Indonesia. That's one third of our population. One third of black Melanesian West Papuans have been killed by the new colonized Indonesia. And besides that, they have destroyed our culture, stolen all our resources, which is the world's biggest gold mine, second largest copper mine, and many other resources. We ain't see anything about it. The only thing we see is blood, is sorrow, dead family members, and our entire land destroyed. In a nutshell, that's what happened 58 years ago.
Okay. And let's talk about 58 years later, and let's talk about the most immediate situation. I know that we had a pastor who was actually, as far as I'm concerned, right, he was abducted, as far as I'm concerned. Have they been able to, has the pastor been able to come home?
No, no, no. To be honest, several pastors have been killed just a couple months ago. In
Okay.
front of the eyes of his family, the pastors were killed. And the Indonesian military were guilty of it. It's been shown, but there's no, you know, there's no soldier brought to court. There's no investigation going on by the Indonesian government. So they're covering everything up, which they have done for more than 58 years right now. This is
Right.
what happens against indigenous West Papuans.
And that's what happens against any indigenous group, because we need to make it clear to the people that West Papua is literally a military state at this point. And for those who don't know what a military state is, it's okay to have police in our communities, but even the police are militarized in West Papua. Even the police are militarized in places like Honduras. And what's sad about it is the very same government, the Indonesian government, is the one who we expect to hold these culprits accountable. That's not going to happen. There's no way that the man who's slapping you around, the man who is raping your community, who is raping your daughters and your sons, they're not going to be the ones who put them in a better position. Now, unless we're foolish, we won't believe that. Now, between 61 and 63, the United States of America was in cahoots with the Dutch government, in cahoots with the Indonesian government. Therefore, it's more than the Indonesian government turning a blind eye. We have the United States of America turning a blind eye in West Papua. We have the United Nations, who was also at the round table. It just wasn't the US. The UN was at the round table. It was the UN who closed their eyes and said, you know what? United States of America, whatever you decide to do, whatever agreement you guys decide to go with, do it. Do it. So here we are, America turning their eyes. They don't want to say anything. UN don't want to say anything. What are we to do? Now, we have men and women who have taken up arms. And I'll speak on this a little bit, Raki, and I want to hear your thoughts. We have men and women who have taken up arms. These people are freedom fighters. All right? To our listeners, to America, to the United Nations, stop calling us terrorists. You're the terrorist. Your actions prove that you are the terrorist. Raki, why are they calling our men and women who are taking up arms savages? Why are they calling them the terrorists?
Yeah, brother Trevor, that is a very good question. And it is very simple. This is what, colonizers and rapists do. They tell lies to
Right.
continue their activities,
Yeah.
right? And if you just let us reflect on what the United States did when the Twin Towers was hit by bin Laden and his allies, right? They invaded Afghanistan until this day, right? Okay,
Right.
besides whether it is besides what the intention is, if they react and respond like that, let them imagine that 1/3 of the US citizens were killed the last 59 years. How would they feel?
Yeah.
Because that is basically what happened against indigenous peoples of West Papua. So if a nation or people on this planet have the right to kill those who occupy us and create genocide and ecocide, it will be us who have all the right to hit back, because 1/3 of our population have been killed. Our Our entire rainforest, have been cut off. So we have the legitimate right to protect our people, to protect our land. If you compare it, the reaction of the US when the Twin Towers were, just a reflection moment. So
Right.
the problem is that the same powers, the US and the UN and all the Western governments who controlled and built the structure from slavery to colonialism to the
Right.
institutions we see today, universities, media, and so on, political institutions. These are the same institutions who, who keep the people in the global south, indigenous peoples, there where they are. So
Right.
it is their story. It is their legitimacy to to give us a stigma of terrorists. But they're the ones who are killing our people. They're the ones who are stealing our resources. They're the ones who destroy our cultures and our livelihoods. And this is the
Right.
narrative which we should educate people all across the world because it will crush the credibility in all the arguments.
I agree. We agree with you 100%. And the thing about it, my brother, and again, for people to understand, we're broadcasting live on Tuna Cheki TV. I want to speak a little bit about Tuna Cheki. Tuna Cheki is important because it's media for us, by us. Y'all hear that? Tuna Cheki is not telling me what to say. It's not telling Raki what to say. Tuna Cheki TV is saying, speak the truth. Speak the truth to power. Why do we need to speak the truth to power and utilize social media as a tool and not a place where we act like fools? Not a place where we're just looking for the girlfriends and looking for the boyfriends and looking for this event. No, let's utilize it like Tuna Cheki is utilizing it. It is an online platform to make sure that the message that comes out is bona fide. Why am I saying this? Because while CNN, Fox, and these are just here in the United States of America, ABC, whoever, when they report anything on the brothers and sisters who are freedom fighters in West Papua, they're going to report them as terrorists. That's their job. They are part of the system. They're going to report our brothers and sisters as terrorists. But here is Tuna Cheki TV. We're reporting them as what? Freedom fighters. That's who they are. That's who they are. These are men and women who have had enough. Over 550,000, a third of the population. Raki, that's an attempted genocide. What is it?
Exactly.
That's an attempt to commit genocide against a whole nation of people. What are your thoughts?
Now, absolutely underline your words, brother Trevor. Let me once again underline what is happening in West Papua and why we are gonna crush all their credibility. We lived there, indigenous West Papuans lived there for thousands of years on the same island. It
Right.
is our home. We lived there for thousands of years until the Dutch came there, the Portuguese, the Spaniards, and so on. And now we got new colonizers the last 59 years, Indonesia. They kill our people, they steal our resources, and they call it civilization. They call it innovation
Yeah.
and development. No,
Yeah.
what they're doing is destroying our ancestral land, which we kept
Yeah.
in peace, in balance for more than thousands of years. And
Yeah.
now they are destroying it with
Right.
all power they have. So yes, and there is a reason why they kept this a secret and why CNN and BBC and Fox are not, talking about it because their governments are involved and they are part of that destructive system, which we know as whatever you see around the world, whether it is the International Monetary Funds, whether it is the World Banks, it's all
Right.
part of the same system. Extract and profit from the people in the global south, from people in Africa, in South America, in West Papua. And how they say, we have to develop those countries, but they steal all the resources.
Right.
It's the same game. It didn't
Yeah.
change 400 years ago, and it's still happening here. And that's why they keep West Papua secret. That's why Indonesia have banned all foreign media since the moment they've invaded West Papua. Until this day, foreign media have been banned from West Papua because they don't want the secret going out where the US, the Netherlands,
Yeah.
Australia, the UN are all involved.
Yeah. That's without a doubt. And I did not know, and thanks for sharing that with us, that, outside media is involved. That right there is proof, America. That right there is proof, West Papua, Africa, the world, that something's not right. Because when you have nothing to hide, expose it. I invite the media into my life. I
Exactly.
invite the media into my world. I have nothing to hide, right? But when you have something to hide, or you're up to something that is no good, then you don't want media there. I want to speak a little bit about leadership. And like I tell you, Rocky, my conversations usually remain the same, but they're so consistent because we have to be consistent and persistent in order to accomplish a thing. Right now, the thing that we're trying to accomplish is self-determination for West Papua. We want the Indonesian government to pack their shit up and get the hell out of West Papua. That's what we want. Now, we don't want this to happen today. We want this to happen tomorrow. We want this to happen yesterday and beyond before we lose another life. Message right now, I want to speak to our leaders, those look you and I, those who are listening. We have over 20 years in. We ask you, put your comments in. We're going to be reading some of these comments and some thoughts in the last 15 minutes of the section of this segment. Leadership that look like you and I, Raki, what are they doing, and are they doing enough?
Well, I see some positive steps, but they're absolutely not doing enough. We saw the African Union becoming part of a global voice demanding a United Nations human rights fact-finding mission to West Papua, initiated by the Pacific Island Forum. So that's the first good step, but we need more pressure because Indonesia is still not allowing the UN to bring a visit to West Papua since the call in 2020. And since that moment, the insecurity in West Papua increases. We saw the pastor being killed. We saw peaceful activists being intimidated, press, and so on. So we need our African leaders, especially they, because they are our family members, to take a leadership role on a global stage. They should be our voice. We are their
Yeah,
children. And that is what we call them, raise West Papua on the UN level and bring Indonesia to order.
agreed upon. And there's a message here by someone named Limo Gang, Skelly Main. You're nothing but a troller, and I'm not going to hesitate to call you out. You could actually get the hell out of this live that we're doing right now, because your question makes no sense. You have to solve African problems with just speaking. Hey, man, in order for us to solve issues, we got to talk about them first, bro. I mean, what are you thinking, Limo Gang? You just troller, man. Get the hell off this live right now. We don't need you here at all. I sure don't need you here. You know what I'm saying? This is an informative conversation leading to action, right? We've had more conversations about what's going on in Papua than conglomerate media, who could actually make a difference, Limo. Now, if you have something positive to say, bro, stick and stay. If you don't have anything positive to say, get off of this live. We don't need that. What we need is positive energy. We want comments like the one that Sammy at Papua is saying. Stop the Indonesian apartheid in West Papua. Thank you, Africa brothers and sisters. Be our voice. Thank you. Yes, we are. Raki is the voice. Trevor is the voice. Daniel and Wambuno. Sammy, we are the voice. Papua Merdeka. Period. Right? Papua Merdeka. All the way. So Limo, get the hell out of here. To the leaders. To the leaders we have. First and foremost, elected officials are not leaders. Those individuals who they're calling terrorists, these grassroots freedom fighters, those are the leaders we're speaking to. The preachers that you guys have there, they are so amazing because here in America, our preachers are selling us out. Here in America, the number one problem in Black America are preachers. That's why they ain't killed another Martin Luther King. They bought him out. They don't have to kill another Malcolm X. They don't have to. They bought him out. They're all bought out in America. So we're speaking to the individuals who understand that this message right here, it's important. This is just not us blah, 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 blah. Over 500 people have died, including Raki's dad. Raki, can you speak to us a little bit about your dad? May he rest in peace.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Trevor. Yeah, absolutely. My father, Arnold Up is his name. He was a anthropologist and a famous musician in West Papua. And because as anthropologist, he knows the different tribes, indigenous tribes living in West Papua, which are more than 250. And through his music, he connected all these tribes together, and he inspired the nation. He made them proud to love their culture, love the way we dress, the way we cook, and keep it indigenous, because that is the value of indigenous West Papuan. That is what makes us West Papuan. All these different tribes in their own very unique way. And through his music, he inspired and connected the entire nations. And therefore, the colonizer Indonesia saw him as a threat and put him in prison, created a scenario where he escaped and they assassinated him. And, it happened just 4 months before I was born. So after that, we fled to the neighboring Papua New Guinea, where I was born in a refugee camp. And not much longer, we and my family fled to the Netherlands, where I grew up. But my father's story is just one of the 500,000 stories. So this is my personal story, but I think the entire nation of West Papua could tell such a tragic story about a family member who have been killed, or a mother or sister who have been raped by the Indonesian military. So this is the narrative of a lot of indigenous West Papuans when they talk about, why they want to have freedom, because there is no future within Indonesia. All they're doing is killing our people, raping our wives and women and sisters. So it has to end. We need freedom, and freedom is the only solution for West Papua.
And what we seek is self-determination. This is a reiteration. We have autonomy. We seek self-determination. And to my people, being a Pan-Africanist, it's not that complicated to attain self-determination. First and foremost, indigenous people, if you have the word indigenous behind your name, it's connected to something that's priceless. The most priceless thing on earth is land. If you have the title indigenous behind your name, it's connected to land. And land is connected to resources. I can talk about they're raping West Papua because it's the largest gold location geographically anywhere on Earth. Right? And that's why the Indonesians are there and refuse to go. They refuse to go because if they leave, they leave all of that behind. Right? But the thing is, If we decide that we're going to work with each other, right? We don't need consent from France. We don't need consent from Britain. We don't need consent from Spain to start trading with each other. We don't need consent for that. That's how we build autonomy, guys. Or, I mean, self-determination. And what the men and women are doing, fighting, and not just bending over and allowing these Christian or Muslim leaders to tell them to turn other cheeks. Enough of that. Because one very important thing that needs to be known is this. And for those who are listening right now, the Indonesian government is a Muslim state. So for those of you, and I greet you, Assalamu alaikum. For those of you who are Muslim, I'm not saying that all of you know about what Indonesia is doing. I'm not saying that all of you know that it is a Muslim state. But a lot of you know that it's a Muslim state, and you know what you do? You say nothing at all. And for those of you who say nothing at all, I'm here to tell you that you are as guilty as and killed Brother On, Raki's dad. You are, if you keep silent about what is going on with our born brothers and sisters, you are as guilty for Muslim that the Indonesian government is bastardizing the name of Islam. I know that Muhammad, peace be upon him, was a man who
The connection, brother. I can't hear you anymore. Is that correct?
Can you hear me now, brother?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, I can hear
Sorry,
you.
man. My phone, but people calling me and then it distracts the live feed.
I know that.
So,
okay.
No worries at all. The point that we're on right now is if things are going to change, we can do it. We can't depend on anyone to do it. Those who are religious, who are Muslim or Christian, and etc., do something about it through your actions, not through the lip service. The pastors who have made it clear, I want to salute their families. So no, sir, I don't. I want to salute their families for their sacrifice. What a sacrifice, Arnold. Your family sacrificed with Brother Arnold as such. Let's not be afraid to sacrifice. I'm telling you guys not to be afraid to sacrifice is because if Raki's dad was not afraid to sacrifice, look at his beautiful son right now. 2021, look at his beautiful son. Continuing the very same battle that his father started. Look at his son. This is why we cannot be afraid to die. This is why we cannot be afraid to be turned into political prisoners. This is why we cannot be afraid to get fired from a job for speaking the truth. It's because one day soon, your children will have children. One day soon, your children's children, your grandchildren, will be born into the same thing. Raki, how many children are suffering today from what started in May 1963, 56 years later? Are kids cool? Are they learning? What is going on with the youth right now?
I think brother, I think from the 1.2 2 million indigenous West Papuans, which we have today. First of all, I want to say that we already become a minority in our own country because the colonial regime have integrated a so-called transmigration policy since the moment they invaded West Papua. So now we have more migrants from other parts of Indonesia living in West Papua, and the indigenous West Papuans become a minority in their own land. And then beside, above that, 500,000 men, women, elderly have been killed. So the estimation is that, a rough estimation is that 50% of the population, or much higher, is like youth or adult. But no one of them, at least not much of them, could have a good healthcare system, or a go to school or find a job. It's not there for the West Papuans. It's not there. Even if you got a university degree, you won't have the equality to find a job as other migrants from Indonesia. So when we talk about what can we do about this, if you live in the US or in wherever where you have a kind of freedom to express whatever you think, you can be the voice. And the moment that we don't find the courage to tell, to speak, you will lose your own dignity as human being. If, at the end, we know this famous quote from, former freedom fighters: at the end, we don't remember the inequality of the cruelty of an animal, but the silence of our friends, of our brothers and sisters. And this is when you now hear the story, what is happening there, and you know that they don't keep this, a secret, because they don't want you to know what is happening there. And
Right.
now you know it. We
Yep.
know the global Black Lives Matters movement, which
Yep.
we support, because we know how it feels to be as black person colonized by another race and being, uh, 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 pushed towards a genocide in your own
Right.
land. So we call upon all our brothers and sisters all across the world, those who fight, fearlessly and courageously for their right in global north, in North America, to fight for brother George Floyd. Those people, we need their voice as well, to highlight what is happening in West Papua. We need the people in Europe, and we need the brothers and
Yep.
sisters in Africa to educate the governments to support the United Liberation Movement for West Papua under the leadership of Mr. President Wenda. We need them to be our voice, because we don't have that voice.
Agreed upon, Rocky. And why is it Octavianus War says, why is such a condemn Muslims? I myself am Muslim, brother. I'm not going to condemn myself. But last time we spoke about this, that's the same question, and this is why I try to approach the situation by first saying we're not condemning Islam. This is not a condemnation against Islam. It's not a condemnation against Christians, even though we have reasons to condemn both. Okay, because it was the Christians and the Muslims who enslaved our people. Listen, it was the Bible thumpers, and it was the Quran thumpers who enslaved our people. And it was the Quran thumpers who sold our people, who they already had a relationship with, to the white people. Don't forget all of that, right? And then they introduced Islam later. So, Brother Waru, we're not condemning Islam. This is actually a challenge. If you're a Muslim, this is a challenge for you. Now that you know that the government of Indonesia is a Muslim state, do something about that shit. Say
Exactly.
something. Why do you think I'm here? Why do you think I'm talking with my kufi on? Why do you think I'm representing? Because if they're representing the name of Islam, Oh, yeah, they better represent the name of Islam proper like. They better represent it proper like. Or else, Waru, they are not Muslim. If they're out here oppressing people, if they're out here terrorizing people, that is not Tawheed. If they're out here oppressing people, that is not love thy neighbor. Brother, it's not. This is call to action to people who look like me, people who don't look like me, who might be Muslim. If you're Muslim, you got to know that there is the Indonesian government is making you look bad. All right? It's making you look bad. When you look at all of the attacks against Muslims across the world, it's the ugly Muslims who do it. Right? When you look at the attack against Christians across the world, it's ugly ass Christians who do it. So, I'm a beautiful Muslim. I'm a Muslim who understands Tawheed. I'm a Muslim who's going to stand up and fight for others. If it's oppressed, I'm oppressed. I'm not going to keep my mouth shut. Waru, I'm not going to keep my mouth shut. Thanks, United States of Africa, for the support. And we want to let the comment here saying that the African Union supports West Papua. I'm here to tell you, no, they don't. Raki, can you, what's the African Union doing in West Papua right now?
Well, the African Union have formally supported the United Nations human rights fact-finding mission. Together with other states, they become like 84 members who are demanding, who are supporting the High Commissioner for from the United Nations for Human Rights to visit West Papua. So that is a formal step, which is a huge win for West Papua, and creates a lot of pressure on the government of Indonesia. But that is not enough. We are heading toward a genocide. We need more power from them. We need more pressure from them, and they are capable of doing that because just one small island Pacific state, Vanuatu, just a small state, have shown how powerful they could be when they are going 100%. And what Vanuatu
Yeah.
did was they, supported the United Liberation Movement for West Papua on every diplomatic mission in the UN, in Europe, and facilitated our liberation movement. And imagine if the African Union did that as one block. We could write history tomorrow. And what we have done in West Papua, I want to underline those who think change is not possible. They must know that we have created so much change in the last 3 years with the support of the small island nation state Vanuatu, because they are courageous on international level. And we need the entire African Union to support Vanuatu and back West Papua's right to self-determination on an international level. So it is possible, and we can write history tomorrow if we find the courage today. And that is what I call everybody who's listening. If the West Papuans can create change, if the West Papuans be fearless, they find the courage in such a occupied territory with the most militarized zone in the world. Imagine what you can do in the US or in the Netherlands. And that is
Yep.
what I am carrying every single day. We are the change. And we show them that we are capable. We just need your voice and your willingness to find the courage to be a voice.
We agree with you 100%, brother, because if we don't do it, no one else is going to do it for us.
Exactly.
No one. I don't see him stepping to the plate and saying, okay, let's free him. Now, the biggest issue that I have with the AU, African Union, is this. The way you started the conversation is in this conversation, we've already made it clear that the UN is a part of the problem.
Yeah.
The UN is a part of the problem. I would only report something to the UN and then keep working on what I'm working on, especially in this particular case. because if the AU has partnered with the UN, knowing that the UN was, the conversation just has to be different. I would want to know, what is the AU? They saying, hey, in 1963, I mean between 61 and 63, we know that you were at the round table. We know this. And there's people, but we believe that it's 2021. We're going to let bygones be bygones. Show us what you could do now. That's diplomacy. But based on some of the things that the AU has been doing anyway, a good example is when they got rid of Dr. Arikana for saying that France was raping Africa for 500.
I don't hear you, brother.
I don't. Yeah, my phone is busy, man. People keep calling me right now. Yeah. Cool. So I'm back for everyone. So it's 58 years ago to 2021. We need leadership like the AU. We need leadership in the United States National Association for the Improvement of Colored People, NAACP. We need organizations like the UNIA, United Negro Improvement Association. We need organizations that are grassroots organizations to take this.
Yeah.
Right? We need the U.S. Congressional Black Caucus to take this on. Don't wait on partners who don't look like us.
Yeah.
Raki? Because if we wait on partners that don't look like us to take this on, it's going to be in the next 10 years, we'll be talking about we've lost over 700,000 Papuans, 3/4 of the population.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's the direction we're going. We have a couple of minutes left. We're going to end this conversation maybe with a comment or two that you guys have. Riot, Papua need a gun. We need more than one gun. And guns could only do so much. And we have to be very careful with guns because our enemies have bigger guns. Do you understand? A good example of what they'll do is what they did to my brother Arnold. What they did was the same thing they did with a group right here in the United States of America called the Black Panthers. Arnold was thinking about escaping, but they put the idea in Arnold's mind, hey, you could escape. But it was just a setup. They were like, if they try to escape, this is our reason to kill it, and it's going to be justified. So, Brother Riot, when you say we need guns, we have to be careful because they will deliver guns to West Papua. The enemy. The enemy will deliver all the tools that you need, not to destroy them, but to destroy yourself.
Exactly.
The freedom fighters that we have right now, they're operating strategically. They're just not operating. They have attorneys working with them. They have politicians. This is strategy. But when we just get up and say, I'm going to grab a gun, you're going to be the first one they kill. And they're going to kill that nigga right there because he had a gun. Mind you, Raki, they kill us without guns.
Yeah.
Right? So my point in that is, I'm not saying to defend ourselves or prepare to defend ourselves. Because if I was in a position, I would suit up and boot up and go to West Papua and fight alongside the freedom fighters. But I know that the weapon that God, Elohim, has given me is right here in America. This is where I'm going to stick and stay. This is where I'm going to partner with the NAACP, the Congressional Black Caucus, and make sure that they do what they're supposed to do from here. Right? Brother Raki, do you have a closing comment of some sort before we go into this final question or comment?
Brother, I just want to thank you for the things you've said. And yes, I think if we have people listening from active in the organization you just mentioned, the NWACP and the Black Caucus, yes, those are the first allies we need to be our voice, to activate the institutions where they were active in. So
Right.
if there are people, brothers and sisters listening and active in those organizations, please support us to connect within those organizations so we can tell them how they can be the strongest voice we need, how they can activate the US Congress, the US government, or other institutions of movement in the US or other parts of the world. That is our first priority, yes. And the UN is a mechanism as well. They have betrayed us, but we need to walk that road, and at the same time, we need to find other allies, which are the first allies, which are the people in Africa, and which are the people in the NWACP and the Black Caucus who must support us along the way. But first, the story must come to them. Because what the colonizers did is they kept this a secret for all of those peoples and brothers and sisters. So now we have to be a voice and to activate West Papua in every organization, grassroots or political, media or whatever, so they can be a voice and spread the virus of free West Papua. Because that is the key. The biggest gun we have is the truth. The
Yeah.
biggest gun we have is the truth. And the weapon of choice is storytelling. So we don't need to shoot, we just shoot words of truth, and
Yeah.
change we're following. And that is what we try to do here because they don't want to hear the truth. That's why they keep it a secret. The world's biggest gold mine, second largest copper mine, which is owned by a US company. So yes, freedom will come. As 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 Martin Luther King, as Malcolm X supported the apartheid, we need the same movements right now to support West Papua, and we can write history tomorrow. It's that simple. We just need to find the courage to act and to be a voice. Thank you, brother.
Trevor.
Trevor, sorry, man. Thank you, brother Trevor, and the Global Pan Africanism Network, President Daniel Mwambonu, and everybody who's listening on behalf of Free West Papua campaign and the entire nation of West Papua.
No, brother, thank you. And I always thank you for sharing the story of your father because it inspires me when I look at you. Because I have a son and I just adopted another son. One day soon they're going to kill me. And I know that's what's going to happen in my case. And I'm okay with that. But I want to make sure that my sons tomorrow are doing what you're doing today. Your father is looking down and like proud. Do you understand what I'm saying? Proud. My closing comment is to Julius Malema. Julius Malema of the EFF, Economic Freedom Fighters. Julius Malema, we need you to contact President Daniel Mwambuno of the United States of Africa. We see you doing a great work, but you can't do it alone, brother. You can't. We need you. And guess what? You may not think you need us, but you need us as much as we need you. No, Julius Malema, contact President Daniel Mwambuno as soon as possible because we need to collaborate with each other. The content here is by brother Sammy Papua. Again, he reads, "Stop the Indonesian apartheid in West Papua." I'm reading that comment because it's important for people to understand that the founders of what we call apartheid was and is the Dutch. Know that. These are the individuals who know what apartheid is 100% not. South Africa is full of Dutch folk. Know that.
Mhm.
And apartheid is alive and well in South Africa. A lot of people think that, but if you go to the universities, you feel it most in the universities. The university students will tell you how alive apartheid is. For those who don't know what apartheid is, please Google it. Because like Brother Sammy says, that is the same tool that is being exercised in West Papua. We're asking each one of you to share the platform. We're here live on Tunacheki TV, over 800,000 followers. This is news that you can use. This is news that is unfiltered. We love you. We need you. Let's barter with each other. Papua Merdeka. Papua
Wow.
Merdeka. Papua Merdeka.